Hello, Mixtresses and Mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. So, I'm doing sort of like a year-end reflection video slash 2022 favorites right here. Of course, you can see in the title. And I feel like I'm gonna try to keep all the like really personal reflections and stuff towards the end of the video and just kind of go through the favorites in the first part of it so that if you're only here for that, you can tune out before the personal shit. I think that's the way I'm gonna do it. So I have a list here in my journal of like favorites by category. So, we're going to both be talking about things that I just really enjoyed this year and things that came out / I discovered this year. Both. So let's start with just the elephant in the room, Drusilla. So this is a Blythe doll, my very first Blythe doll. It probably will be my only Blythe doll? Question mark? I think. I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with just the one, at least for now. This was a gift from my dear, beautiful friend, Julie, and for my birthday, and she is Drusilla from Buffy. I've adorned her with this little necklace that has a stake and a cross and a garlic clove, because Drusilla is a vampire, but my personal headcanon with Drusilla is that she was a potential slayer before she was turned into a vampire. So I have her here just to oversee, because I did get into dolls a bit this year. I mean, I've always been into dolls, but like, and I got incredibly lucky. I didn't really spend much money at all on dolls this year. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only thing I bought for myself in the doll category this year was this little Elvira pop figure. Might as well have her hang out too. Can you see her? Can you see her? So, and I got a couple of Shadow High dolls. One was given to me also by Julie, and one was given to me by my Michael. And yeah, which I did not get those out. They have a spot. They have a domain. They're kind of unmeshed in their little corner, so I don't want to displace them. But I really love my two Shadow High dolls, Luna and I always forget the name that I gave the other one. Suvine? I think I called her Suvine. Suvine and Luna are my other two, my two Shadow High dolls. So yeah, I used to collect Barbies whenever I was, not collect really, but it was just, I was a kid, I had Barbies, I would, I would alter them to my own liking. My mom called it mutilating. I would mutilate my Barbies. And I lost them all in the tornado, but I do have a little bit of a doll collection. I also have a Trinity like action figure from 1999 that my mom had in her garage. And I was like, I think this needs to be mine now. And she's like, I think so too. Because it was just hiding in her garage. So I have that now. So yeah, I got a few doll gifts this year. So that was a fun thing that happened this year. Okay, so let's go through my faves from 2022 by category. We can start with movie, because I have that at the top of this stack here. So my favorite movie of the year, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This is just like, yeah, it's, if you haven't seen it yet, you gotta. It's like if The Matrix were more, I mean, The Matrix was already about love. yeah, this is just the Matrix for 2022. You know, it's the Matrix for now. Not for now. For our generation is what I meant. It makes it sound like it's the Matrix for now. It's just, it's beautiful. It really is. I've only watched it twice over the course of the whole year, but, which is crazy because, like, I'm the kind of person that usually when like in the past when I found a favorite movie, and I realize I have not found a favorite movie in many, many, many years. Like, at the end of the year, every year, I'll have like a list of my favorite movies from the year, but they were just movies that I liked that year. This is one that has just really, it stole my heart. And the fact that I've only seen it twice, like, what the fuck? In the past, when I was younger, I would find a favorite movie and I would have seen it 10 times just in the theater. That's probably, and I would have seen it so many more times if I had had access to it. Like, but I guess that's what happens whenever you have access to everything everywhere all at once. Anyway, this is my favorite movie of the year, hands down. A couple of honorable mentions. I saw a movie called Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon at the theater this year too, and it was Kate Hudson and other people as well. But it was another, like, I don't even know how to describe that one. It defies explanation, but it was good. So if you've been thinking about it, just know that I said it was good, and I'm not a movie reviewer, so I'm going to move on. I also, just a couple weeks ago, saw Dr. Sleep. People have been talking to me about that movie ever since it came out, and I didn't realize that it was oh God, what's that guy's name? Mike Flanagan? I like everything that he does. He did that series on Haunting of Hill House and the series Haunting of Bly Manor and The Midnight Club. He has like a handful of like TV shows on Netflix that I like. Midnight Mass. I like the stuff that he does, and I think this year was the year that I kind of discovered him as well. So I've seen like everything that he's done this year, but he was the writer and or director of Dr. Sleep, and I did really enjoy it because I'm not actually a fan of the Shining movie at all. I mean, I get that it's like, you know, it's a historic horror movie, all the like artful shots and blah blah blah, like I get it, but it's not for me. It's not for me. That's sort of like dude terrorizing his family, like it's not my kind of horror. It's too close to real life, you know what I mean? But I did really like Dr. Sleep. I would watch it again. I just saw it during the Halloween times. And then favorite TV shows. Okay, so my favorite TV show, I mean, probably Haunting of Hill House needs to be mentioned, but I don't have a visual aid for that. But the season of television that I watched the most times this year is Why Women Kill Season 1. And this was talked about in an early favorites video this year. I am obsessed with particularly Lucy Liu's performance. I feel like it will go down in history. I feel like I can't hold this at the right angle so that you can see it properly, but it will go down in history as like one of those iconic performances in the vein of Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest, Julia Sugarbaker from Designing Women. It's that like over the top, just I watched it like all the way. I watched this season all the way through at least 3 or 4 times this year, and I'm just obsessed. I had to buy it. I'm trying to have like physical copies of things that I really love more often, which leads me to also, okay, RuPaul All-Star Season 7 was a season that came out this year, and it was just the most fun RuPaul season ever, maybe, because everybody is just, they were getting along. No one was eliminated all season long. So it was just, you just got to see people doing their thing that knew each other. And it was just a good time. It was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't have a visual aid for that, but then I have to give an honorable mention to, I've just started acquiring the seasons of what is probably I think that this is maybe my second favorite TV show of all time. We'll see. Like, it's only been out for a few years, but this I have watched more times. I feel like at this point, it's rivaling how many times I've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And that is the show Glow. Unfortunately, like, since this is a Netflix series, that I'm guessing it just, like, wasn't that popular, maybe? Because the only, like, DVDs I could find of it are, like, these little, like, screener things that are sent to, like, people in the professional, like, I don't know, movie review business or whatever. And it has 3 seasons, but season 3 is, like, super rare, I guess. And so, like, everywhere I've found it on eBay, it's, like, hundreds of dollars for season 3. So if for some reason, some of y'all listening have season 3 of Glow on DVD, because I don't know, if Netflix ever decides to take it down, I am going to cry if I can't watch. Yeah, anyway. I'm scheming to see if I can record onto VHS season 3. Just because I have a VCR and I'm pretty sure I can just press record while I'm playing it on Netflix, and it will, just so I can make sure to have a physical copy of it, because I am in love with this show. It's just, it's set in the 80s, so it has that sort of nostalgia factor. Every single actor is so fucking good, and it's like a very character-driven show. Anyway, if you guys have, it also has some, like, over-the-top sorts of performances that, like, that's the vibe that I've been in as far as, like, television goes lately. Like, I don't want anything that's, like, super realistic most of the time. I just want over-the-top drama. Which is funny because, like, okay, there's all kinds of shit like that out there, but for some reason I'm drawn to, like, the weird, like, I don't know, like, I feel like most everybody I've talked to about Glow hasn't seen it. Most everyone I've talked to about Why Women Kill hasn't seen it either, but highly recommend. Like, they were going to be filming in 2020 for season 4, and the show got canceled. So which is sad, because, like, the whole series ends on a very weird note. So I hope that they will get picked up again at some point, because, man, that show was good. Oh, so good. Okay, so that's my favorite movies and TV shows of the year. Let's go to books next. So I have 2 here. I didn't read a lot this year, guys, which is awful. So, Awakening Shakti by Sally Kempton. This one is kind of a chonk, but it's... Okay, let's go to, like, the table of contents. So it's a 1 chapter each on, how many different? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the major Hindu goddesses. So we have Durga, Lakshmi, Kali, Parvati, Sarasvati, Sita, Dhumavati, Radha, Chinnamasta, Lalita, Tripura, Sundari, Bhuvaneshwari. Yeah, Bhuvaneshwari is the last one. And it's just like, this is the mythology I follow. Like, I've never really been that interested in Greek mythology and Roman mythology and stuff. I know everybody else is, but I just never have been. Hindu mythology is my thing. And this book, before this year, I had read, I think she wrote another book called Just Awakening Kali. And I don't know, it might have just been the chapter of Kali taken out and just sold on Kindle, because I have that on Kindle. But I read this whole book this year, and it was just so fascinating. It was awesome. It was awesome. It's definitely like a new agey take, on goddess stuff. But like it's got some tantric goodness in it. It's got some rituals. It's got lots of information, and I know that I will come back to this book many, many times. I used Lakshmi as my goddess of the year for 2022, and I adapted a ritual in here about Lakshmi for myself, like an abundance ritual, and it was like it was my most powerful spell that I did all year. And it was kind of taken from this book. I should have gotten out some of my Ted Andrews books, because I did read several Ted Andrews books this year too. That's not true, several. I read like one. I read one. Me and Sylvain went through how to meet and work with spirit guides together. And we did like the rituals and read it together and talked about it together, and that was a lot of fun. So that's Awakening Shakti. That's like my second favorite book that I read this year. But my very favorite book that I read this year is Italian Folk Magic by our very own Mary Grace Farun. I don't even know how to fucking say your last name, and we're friends. Okay, sorry. Let me know. Farron. It's probably not Faroon. But anyway. So this book, okay, I'm probably not going to flip through it because there's an inscription from Grace in here, which is private. And I've taken a lot of notes in this book. Because, I mean, I am a bit biased because Grace is my friend, but also it is a really fucking good book. I feel like it would make a little more sense to me personally if this book was called like Italian Witchcraft. However, I think there already is a book by that title written by kind of a hacky person. I don't remember their name. But in any case, this book is really, really good, and it's really, really applicable to, like, even if you think to yourself, well, maybe I'm not interested in Italian folk magic. You are. It's, if you like Grace, if you like her channel, you will love her book. It's very, conversational, very easy to understand, very, like, not pretentious, not, not gatekeepery. It's like you're talking to, she really channels like all the Italian grandmas out there, all the Italian aunts and grandmas, which I don't know much about in general, although I did find that a lot of the sort of little superstitious things that Italian grandmas and aunts do, there are aspects of it that exist in my very white family. Very not Italian family. So this was a really fun book to read. Even if I didn't know Grace, I would have loved this book if it somehow found its way to me. And it was even more special because I have access to Grace. So every time I wanted to hear more about a story that she talks about in the book, I would just send her a little voice message and be like, hey, tell me more about this. And then she would expand upon it. And that's what That's why I'm not flipping through the book, because sometimes when she would expand upon a story in the book, I would write in the margins everything that she told me, just to like, you know, have a little extra. I have extra footnotes from Grace herself written in this book. So it was the first time in my life that I was reading a book and I had access to the author to ask them to nerd out on things even more that I'm reading in the book. So it was like an immersive, interactive book reading experience, and it was so much fun. And I value my friendship with Grace so much, and we've really become close this year, and yeah, it was really special to read this book. But I do recommend, even if you aren't BFFs with Grace. Lots of great, like, divination in life advice in that book. You know, that book's not going to make you want to buy anything. You know, it's going to make you want to use what you have. And that's, you know I will read that book again and again in my life. So that's pretty much my favorite book of the year. I didn't really read much fiction or anything, so I don't really have anything to mention in that category. Let's move on next to... Oh, I didn't get any visual aids for this. I need to do that. Okay, hold on. Let me go grab some. Okay, this is going to be hard to get in the shot. But music. My favorite music of the year is just shit that I've heard a million times before, for the most part. My two favorite bands that I listened to a lot this year. Apparently I was in like a glam rock space this year because I listened to a lot of Roxy Music and Scissor Sisters. I probably went through their entire discography, each of them, over the course of the year. So here's a visual aid for Roxy Music. I'll just hold it like this while I'm talking, maybe. Okay. So this is just one of my, I inherited all of my Roxy Music records from both my mom and my dad. Mostly my dad, because he had like all the Roxy Music. So I can't get yeah, it's just too bright. Here we go. This is the visual aid. Yeah, also a song called It's a Fine Day really got me through this year. It's just a very simple little song. It's a fine day, people open windows, they leave their houses just for a short while. It's gonna be a fine day tonight. It's going to be a fine day tomorrow. Hope I don't get a copyright strike. Anyway, so that song was probably my most... I haven't gotten my like sort of Spotify Wrapped information yet. I love that whenever they like give you all your stats for what you've listened to for the year. I haven't gotten that yet, but I know from memory I listened to that It's a Fine Day song a gazillion times. That's not Roxy Music, but... and I listened to lots of Roxy Music, especially on my bike. So that's another thing this year. I bought an electric bicycle back in sometime during late spring, early summer is when I bought it. And it was kind of expensive, but it was worth it because I had so much fun. I bought like a little Bluetooth like handlebar speaker. And I would just ride around town listening to Roxy Music a lot and Kylie Minogue and just like stuff like that. Just like dance music. Just listening to dance music with the wind blowing through my hair, riding my bike. And since it's electric, it wasn't, like anytime I was going up a really hard hill or something, I would just turn up the pedal assist. And so it was not too hard for me to do. So it's not super athletic, my bike riding, but it's fun and it was still exercise. So unfortunately it's cold now, so I haven't been riding my bike as much. But as far as like the warmer months, and I live in Southwest Missouri, so like a lot of the warmer, we have a lot of warmer months is the point. So most of the year I'll be able to ride my bike. And my favorite song to listen to on my bike is a Roxy Music song I think it's called Only Love. It might not be called that, but it's like, Only Love. Anyway, that's my favorite music of the year. And I've been like listening to CDs again in my car, which has been nice because it's just like a lot less distractions. You know, I'm not like constantly like trying to find something to listen to on my phone and hooking it up and blah, blah, blah. And like, I've just been listening to CDs in my car again, which means I've been like digging through the used CD bins places and stuff, buying like $3 CDs again, which is fun. And just kind of building my CD collection again, because I have like less than 50 CDs after the tornado. And I just, you know, like most people, I haven't been buying CDs as much since we have access to all music all the time. But I'm kind of getting back into having the physical formats of things because, you know, I don't want to be reliant on the internet because I just feel like, I don't know if I'm preparing for some kind of apocalypse where we still have electricity so we can still enjoy our CDs and DVDs. But, yeah, I don't like being reliant on the internet to enjoy my favorite things. I want to actually fucking own them. You know, I was born in 1982. I want to own the things that I love. Okay, let's move on to kind of maybe the other category can be next, perhaps. Or should we do perfume? Let's do perfume next, just because I talked about this in my last video, so I won't need to spend too much time on it. I did buy a lot of perfume this year. My favorite perfume, or let's do the honorable mentions first, and I'll do my favorite last. My favorite, okay, this is probably like my second favorite perfume all year, called the Shadowed Veil. This one is black pumpkin, leather, pomegranate incense, other stuff as well. So it does kind of have like sort of an ancient incense, leather, pumpkin vibe. It's very dark fairy. I love it. And it just got restocked. So if I'm accidentally making you want something, it is available now on Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. And I highly recommend if any of those notes sound interesting to you. It's so good. And then another one that I bought this year, which I think is also still available on Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab, is called Dark Eyed Delightful. And this one is like chocolate and patchouli. You know what? I'm going to wear it right now. Yeah, it's good. I can't remember all the other. It has cardamom, chocolate, and patchouli in it for sure. And it is very much a come hither scent. So, you know, I try not to wear it when I'm going to be out in public because I don't want come hither as my vibe when I'm out in public. I love it. So that's my favorite one that I got this year. But my actual favorite perfume that I've been wearing the most this year, I got last year, and it is not available right now, sorry guys, but it is called Pumpkin Snake Latte. And it is a combo of like pumpkin spices and snake oil, which is like the signature scent of Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. It's so good. I spilled my bottle of it this year. And so my entire bedroom smelled like it for like 4 days. And I didn't get tired of it. I just fell in love with it more. So that was actually, that little tragedy is what made me realize it was like one of my very favorite scents of all time. I really love it. Really, really love it. So that's my favorite perfumes of the year. I also started creating my own perfumes this year because I do want to focus on some of my actual like hobbies and accomplishments instead of just the things that I acquired this year. So, but that's going to be more towards the end of the video, me talking about that kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay. Let's do like sort of an other category, and I'm going to save the best for the very last, because that's going to transition me into talking about sort of more personal shit. But like the other category, like other favorites that don't fit into like, you know, movie, TV show, book, tarot, oracle. I'll do the tarot oracle next. Music, perfume, blah, blah, blah. So the other category, like I don't have very many visual aids for these, but one of the things that I bought this year, this is such a silly thing. I like to use backpacks as purses, and like I was having a hard time finding like a happy medium between like a full-size backpack and like a mini backpack, because a mini backpack was too small and a full-size backpack was too big. But I found the perfect in-between, and it is called the JanSport Mini, because it's bigger than the mini backpacks that I had before, but it's not as big as a full-size backpack. I don't have it here, but it has been my purse. I bought it in the beginning of the year, and I've used it all year. Like, I don't have, like, I'm not like a big like purse collector or anything. I definitely have more than 5 but less than 10 purses total, and most of them are just backpacks. Different flower backpacks, most of them. But this was, anyway, I recommend if you are also in the boat for a backpack as a purse that is not too big and not too small. I found the Goldilocks of backpack purses, and it is called the JanSport Mini. So, silly thing to be on this list, but like, since I carry it with me everywhere, you know, the zippers are, it's not too many compartments, but it's enough. The zippers are like industrial, so I feel like they're gonna last. I feel like this backpack is gonna last me forever, truly. And that, I mean, eventually it'll probably fall apart, but I might even have decades with it, truly. And I'm very happy with it. So that is on my list of my other favorites of the year. Also, this rose ring, I kind of went on a bit of a jewelry spree this year, but this is my favorite ring that I got this year. It's just silver. I think it was like $30 on Etsy, and it's really cool, and I wear it almost every day. So there's that. Oh, okay. I did get a visual aid out for this, but I'm going to have to stand up to get it. Hold on. So, when I was a teenager, I used to have this spike heart necklace that I'm pretty sure my sister stole from me because it disappeared from my life at one point, and I don't just lose things. I take care of my things. So, I have been on the hunt for a replacement of that necklace. It was just like a necklace from Hot Topic. But I've been on the hunt for a replacement for that necklace for literally years. And I found it this year. It's black instead of red. My original was red. But it's almost exactly what I had before. And I do wear it a lot. But I also keep it on this little stand just because it really did take me years to find it. I had saved searches going, like, and I had bought other things that were kind of like it, but not quite it over the years. But I finally fucking found it. It's just, it makes my trashy goth heart sing. It really does. I mean, it's just a cheap little, I think it was $10 on Etsy, but I waited a long time to get this back in my life because it was kind of like a signature necklace that I wore all the time, even though mine was red before. But hey, this version of it is black, and that may even be better. Okay. So, what else? I bought, okay, this is in my list of my favorites from 2022. I bought a pair of vintage from the 80s, but barely worn. They seem pretty new. high-waisted purple jeans. They fit me really well. I wear them to work all the time on casual days because, you know, they're jeans. And yeah, can't show those. Don't have a picture of myself in them, but I love them a lot. Even though it was like one of those, spent a little too much money on Etsy for a vintage pair of jeans that somebody probably found in a thrift store for $5, but whatever. They fit, and I didn't have to, like, you know, you pay a premium for not having to sort through a bunch of crap in a thrift store, which is something that I don't usually have the energy to do. I hate shopping for clothes, honestly. So I am that bitch that I only buy clothes, like, I don't know, maybe once every year or two. I'll go on a little bit of a clothes shopping spree on, like, Etsy or something, and I'll just get a handful of nice vintage pieces that I wear forever until they fall apart. But literally most of my clothes in my life are hand-me-downs. So this pair of vintage 80s purple jeans that I have really make me happy. Not pictured. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so I mentioned pretty much all of the other. Okay, so let's get into Oracle decks next. So, which one do I want to show first? Let's just first show the Mixtress Oracle, because I just finished it, just published it, like within the last month, and this is my magnum opus. Link below if you want to buy it. I did have to price it higher than I would have liked, because it's on like recycled cardstock, and it's a 108 card deck. This is only half the deck here. These are the ones that it's a song oracle, and half of it's blank and half of it is songs that I chose. So this is the half with the songs that I chose that I'm showing here. But I worked really hard on this. I went through a couple of different prototypes. I learned some things about technology, and I did have to make it bordered, which I didn't want to do, but I did have to make it formatted correctly. And I'm really proud of it. I used my typewriter, I used labels from cassette tapes, and it's created using, you know, analog collage techniques, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. And I've gotten a few sales. Some people are interested in it, which just warms my heart, because I am the Mixtress, and this is my oracle. Perfect timing to just stop on that title card there. And it is, I'm proud of it. I'm just proud of it. So this is definitely something that I had to mention in my end of the year review. Can I just like prop it up right here? Kinda. Will it work? Maybe? It's gonna maybe fall over. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna fall over. Okay, but other oracle decks that were my favorites this year. Okay, so I have the favorite that I used the most this year, and I have my favorite that's a new acquisition this year. So my favorite new acquisition of the year is Woodland Wardens. I just got it like a month or so ago, but I have been using it for almost every like client reading, every like pick-a-pile reading. Every card has a plant and an animal and a keyword, and it's mass market. You can get it for, I think I got it seriously for like $15. So it was very reasonably priced, and the art is gorgeous. The artist, Jessica Rue, is like very knowledgeable about plants and animals, and I'm blown away by this deck. It's been yeah, so this is my favorite Oracle deck that I acquired this year. And it also came out this year. And then my favorite Oracle deck that I used this year, I sort of rebonded with Fairies Oracle this year. These two look kind of good together too. So this is one that I had when I was a teenager, and I reacquired it back in 2019 after, I think I lost it in the tornado. I don't think I got rid of it on purpose. But I rebonded to it this year. This is like, if I could only keep one Oracle deck, it would be this one. And I used it a lot this year. Okay, let's move on to tarot. I'm trying to figure out where to put all of these things. Okay, tarot. My favorite deck that I mean, this is not going to be a surprise to anybody that's been around my channel this year, but my favorite deck that I acquired this year, I think it maybe came out at the end of last year. I'm not sure exactly, but I didn't find out about it until this year, is Telesma Tarot. And I got lucky on this one. This is an expensive indie deck that I probably would not have been able to buy for myself because it's so expensive. But I was able to get, I asked her for half off, or I asked her for I was like, I have a YouTube channel and I would love to have your deck, but it's a little too expensive for me, blah, blah, blah. And she sent me a coupon for half off. And I was like, okay, good enough for me. And so I got it for more of a reasonable price. And it's like analog collage. And I immediately fell in love with this deck. I can't even explain it. I'm just connected to it. And I feel like Tara Cochran, who created this deck, she really knows tarot. And she knows her collage. And collage is my favorite art style. And when I first got this deck in my hands, I seriously was holding on to it for a week straight. Just not literally, obviously, but I would just every night I would pick it up and I would just look at it. I would just flip through it and look at it. And a lot of the times that is a part of my relationship to tarot that I haven't really acknowledged before this second. A lot of having all of these different decks is because I do, at night, I'll just sit with a cocktail or something and I'll just look at imagery, you know? Anyway, I love this deck a lot. I hate the cardstock. I don't hate to touch it, but I hate to try to shuffle it. So that's my only complaint with this deck. And the fact that it's expensive, but I was able to get it for half off. So that was actually not bad at all. So that's my favorite tarot deck that I discovered this year. My other favorites, I actually need to pause this video real quick, so I will be right back. Okay. This video is, you can see how long it is, but I am having to do it kind of in little shifts. Okay, so let's talk about the tarot decks that I have really enjoyed this year, and I'll save the very, very best one for last. So these are all decks that I already had, that I just used a lot this year. These are all tarot decks. So this one's kind of newer. I reacquired the Moon Baby Tarot. I had the first edition and I gave it to a friend. And, okay, can you see it? Yeah. I had the first edition and I gave it to a friend. I think at the end of last year is when I gave it away. Yeah, because it was at I believe I gave it to her during a Christmas party I was having at my house. Because she was talking about how she wanted a tarot deck. And I'm the type of person that, like, I've just recently realized that this is something about me. Whenever someone that I know, one of my friends, wants to learn tarot, I'm going to give them a deck. I'm going to give them a deck that's already in my possession. And sometimes I will regret that. So I've learned that I need to actually have an extra copy of an RWS, like a mass market, like a Centennial or something like that. I need to have something like that in my possession ready to go in case for those situations. Because I'm not going to stop myself whenever I'm in that moment of wanting to give someone a tarot deck. I'm going to give them a tarot deck and I'm going to be happy to do so. But sometimes I give tarot decks away that I regret, like with the Moon Baby. But thankfully, the second edition of the Moon Baby came out this year and it has green edges, which I love even more than the pink edges of the first edition. So, and the box is like, I don't have it out right now, but the box is has better colors in my opinion than the first edition of the box. So even though this is a more expensive deck, I as a rule don't buy expensive decks anymore, but there are always exceptions. I did spend a little chunk of change on about 4 different decks this year, and this was one of them. And that's okay, because I think Brant, who created this deck, is just, he seems like such a sweet guy. Like I would totally be friends with him. He seems like that kind of guy. And there's not very many people that I would say that about. But Brant seems like such a sweet guy. And I love that he basically made the hoi polloi accessible. And it's pretty cool. He did a great job. I like it. So I'm happy to have it again in my possession. Okay. I need to find new places to set things down at this point. Okay. So this one, Dark Angels Tarot, I used it a lot this year. And this is one that I bought back in 2019. And actually, I had put it in like my collage box because I thought I wasn't going to use it as a tarot deck anymore. So I put it in my collage box. I rescued it from my collage box this year and started using it again when I hadn't really been using it. I thought that I was basically retiring it by putting it in my collage deck because I do like the art. But I got it back out and I've actually been using it. So, an argument for keeping things around that you already have, which is an argument that I need to have. I'm not really a hoarder. I'm kind of a compulsive purger. So that's something that I'm working on right now. So I'm glad I didn't really get rid of this deck. I was able to just decide when I wanted it back that I could just rescue it from my collage box. And this is a deck that like I would have originally categorized as like a nothing sort of deck. Just, a pretty gothic photo manipulation style deck. But I have really bonded to it. And that's highly subjective, of course. But I use this deck almost more than any other deck this year. Another deck that I used a lot this year is Tarot of Vampires. Again, I shall showcase this gorgeous bag. Oh, this is one of the decks I sent it to. So as soon as I opened that box, it started wafting. Yeah. I think I sprayed it with Hypnotic Poison, which is my signature scent. Yum. Okay. This gorgeous bag by Wendy at Occult Compass. She made it for me because I had given her a deck this year, and as a thank you gift, she made me this and one other bag. And I love it so much because she made it specifically to my specifications to go with Tarot of Vampires. So this is a weird one because Tarot of Vampires is another one that I kind of reacquired. This is one that I did get rid of and I had to buy a second copy of it, which I did at the end of last year, I think. But I've been using it a lot this year. I've made a few videos about it this year. And yeah, I mean, there's aspects of the art that I don't like a lot of the time. But overall, this is a very thoughtfully made deck. There's a reason that it is as popular as it is. There's going to be a new Tarot of Vampires. Not by Ian Daniels, but it's going to be called Tarot of Vampires. And I think Llewellyn is publishing it too. But it's just going to be vampire with an I instead of a Y. Next year, that is looking kind of promising too. So I may have, that's going to be weird if I have two copies of, if I have two decks that are by the same title. This looks like a guy that Michael works with. Every time I see it, I'm like, Brian! Anyway. Okay. So I did use Tarot of Vampires around as much as I used Dark Angels this year. Because I would just, I choose what decks I work with intuitively, as they say. And there was just a lot of times this year that I got out Tarot of Vampires, and sometimes I would have it out for a couple weeks at a time, which is rare for me to keep a deck out that long. I usually switch them out pretty often. Okay, so that's that. And oh no, this is the one that I used the most this year. Really, truly. Because I used this one for like a solid month or two. I finally, and I've wanted it for a while, I finally acquired an actual vintage copy of Halloween Tarot. And I wanted a vintage copy because it's not thick as fuck. And it was hard to find just because, like, if you search for Halloween Tarot on eBay, you're going to get this deck and several other decks that have Halloween in the title. And you can't really tell by looking at, like, an eBay listing if you're actually getting a vintage version. So I had actually messaged the seller of this one and asked him to measure the thickness of the deck. And he did it. And that's part of the reason why I bought it, because he was willing to do that for me, because I told him I can't really shuffle newer versions of this deck. And I've had the 10 size version of Halloween Tarot since 2019 when I first started buying a bunch of tarot decks. And I love it. I love it. It makes me so happy. And I bought a full size version, like a new one, I don't know, a year or two ago, and it was just, I couldn't fucking shuffle it. I just can't fucking shuffle that new US Games cardstock. So this is one that's like, I believe it's a first edition. And it was one of those ones that it came with like the little book. And the guy that sold it to me on eBay was super nice and patient with all of my silly ass questions. So as soon as I got this, and it was just like barely used, and he had it in his possession since 1996. As soon as I got it, I just started using it constantly. I used it throughout like all of September, most of October. And I still, like, this has become one of the tarot decks that I have 3 tarot decks that are just sort of hanging on the wall. Marigold Tarot is right over there. Tarot of the Cat People is behind Drusilla. And then now I have Halloween Tarot just hanging in here. Plus the 10 size version of this deck is always in my purse. So this deck I have on me at all times, pretty much. And I just, it makes me so happy. It really does. I have found that this is going to be, like, I might even post 2 or 3 videos this week on my channel. So the next video that's going to come out is most likely going to be an RWS comparisons video between a new vintage deck that I just, that's going to be coming to me in the mail any day now, and my plaid back. And anyway, I've been nerding out on like sort of Rider-Waite-Smith tarot history, and I found that I really appreciate RWS style decks. And this one really is kind of a clone. A few of the images deviate a bit. But like overall, this is an RWS clone. And I'm really into that, actually. I know people are bored by it. And I get it from an imagery perspective. I get being bored by that. But there's a reason for that. Because that deck there's something magical about that imagery. That's why people are still doing versions of it. 100-something years later. There's a reason for it. Anyway. So let's see how much I have. Still an hour left on my battery. Oh my god, this video is going to be so long. Anyway, I'm going to keep this out just for funsies. And let's talk. So my very favorite thing that I acquired in 2022 is my Hobonichi Weeks. Because I have never really, I've always had planners and calendars and journals and blah, blah, blah. But I really honed my journaling life in 2022. And it was in huge part thanks to the Hobonichi. Because I started, I'm not going to be showing you a lot of the pages here, but I'm going to flip through and decide what to show here. Essentially, I have kept track of all of my card pulls on all of my card pulls on the monthly view, my daily card pulls. I tried to keep track of the decks that I used every month, but that didn't actually, I wasn't consistent with that. But anyway, this thing just kept me organized because I really put in the effort to write down my goals for the year. Every week I would, on the weekly views, I would write what I did, what actually happened to me that day. And then I would make my little to-do lists and do my week ahead spread and stuff like that on the opposite side of the weekly views. I kept track of my budget. I kept track of all of my online purchases this year. And I gave myself little gold stars if I achieved my budgeting goals. I made a list of my to-be read pile. At the beginning of the year, I had quite a stack of books because I got a lot of books for Christmas, which happens. So I'll probably have a lot of... my to-be read pile is down to 2 or 3 books right now at the end of 2022, but probably I'll get some books for Christmas. And so I'll have... And I set a goal for myself to conquer my to-be read pile and to not buy any new books until my to-be read pile was less than 5 books. Because I actually have a literal stack of books that I haven't read. It's a literal to-be read pile because I don't have that many books that I haven't read in my possession at any given time. But I made a goal to conquer that pile and not buy any more until I had less than 5 books in that pile. And I achieved that, actually. Most of the books that I read this year were actually books that I had in my possession that I hadn't read yet. And also reading books from the library, of course, because I work at a library and I love reading, but I still didn't read that much this year. There were a lot of goals that I made for myself that I didn't achieve this year, but overall, I did a really good job, and this Hobonichi has kept me honest with a lot of things, and I have made some real progress with my shopping addiction shit. So that is the main takeaway of this year for me, is that I created Mixtress Oracle, which was a big deal to me. I found a few new favorites that I really love, and I really appreciate, things that I am happy to have in my life. Gifts from good friends, like this Drusilla doll. And yeah, it's been a really good year, actually. Okay, so I'm flipping through my Hobonichi right now just to see like what I want to share with you about this, but this sort of like way of being hyper focused on my goals and on my I can show you this whole page actually, because there's nothing personal here, but like I have a book club, and so I kept track of like we're a themed book club. We don't read the same book every month. We just pick a theme, and then we all read something that fits into that theme that we want to read, and then we talk about it at the end of the month. So I wrote down what our theme was every month, whether or not I gave myself a gold star if I actually read the book. 2 of the book clubs I didn't go to this year. That was a dark time. That was a dark time. Yeah, so there were only 3 months of this year that I did not actually achieve the book club goal, which is good for me. I usually am even worse about that. Yeah, so I kept track of my book club. I kept track of all the books I read this year, which is not that many. Not that many. We're at 25. My original goal was to read 40. Yeah, I'll be lucky if I make it to 30. But I definitely want a goal for 2023 to spend more time reading, for sure. I kept track of all of my readings that I did for people this year. I kept track of all my daily card pulls, which I always do, so that I can look at the end of the year and see, like, you know, so I still have a month left to fill in here to see, like, what my card of the year is as far as, like, what I pulled the most times. It looks like it's gonna be Queen of Cups. That, just, like, by eyeballing it. Yeah, looks like it. I did a no internet February. That was really good for me. And I was planning to do it more often than just during February, but I'm definitely going to have to do that again in 2023. At the very least, I want to have no internet February every year, because that is an important reset for me. I did like a kind of a writing project in April. I don't think I really achieved that, but I did do some more writing projects in April, but I didn't really achieve my goals for that. But, you know, sometimes, like, not achieving a goal just means it's not working the way that you thought it would, so you need to reassess, you know, and I think that was the case in that respect. Just flipping through. Just kind of a hangout sesh right now, guys. Sorry, this is probably boring. Oh, I created my own bird tarot in my mind. So basically, anytime, I kind of want to cover one side of this up. Okay, so anytime I see birds on branches, it is a wand card. Anytime I see birds in the water, that's a cup. Birds in the air, sword, or birds on the ground, pentacle. So that's my minor arcana. If I see 3 birds on a branch, that's 3 of wands, you know? And that was just a fun thing to keep me more focused on the world instead of actual physical objects, you know? And I also made like a little major arcana for myself. I don't remember all of these. I don't really think about the major arcana usually, but just like if I were going to actually make a major arcana, I would want, like, you know, I would want the Empress and Emperor to be female and male cardinals, you know, that kind of stuff. That was just kind of for fun, and I don't really think about that much. But this was just me keeping track of whenever I started creating my own bird tarot in my mind, which was fun. Yeah, because I spent a lot of time, any nice days during the spring and summer that I'm off work, I just sit on my porch and read and journal, and, you know, it's just very restorative for me. And I can just watch birds, and Actually, oh my God, okay. I probably shouldn't share this because I'm getting a little too hopeful. But okay, so we have a porch cat. We've tried to bring her in several times over the years that we've known her. And she doesn't really, her and Collie are not going to be friends, unfortunately. And it's on her, not on Collie. So I know that like we'll be able to get another cat at some point because Collie is interested in being friends with this porch cat. But her name is Tortilla. So she's been in our lives for a long time. She used to have a home, but she doesn't anymore. She just lives on our porch, and Michael built her a house so that when it's cold, she'll have somewhere to, it's insulated, and it has like a roof and everything, like with actual shingles. It's a nice little cat house. So she has shelter. We feed her every day. We cuddle her. We love her so much. But I would love for her to actually have a home. And my mom wants to, she's like bought all the cat supplies and stuff. She hasn't had a cat in a long time, but she is going to, on a trial basis, like I told her, if it doesn't work out, we can bring her back to our porch, no problem. But I'm really crossing my fingers that this works out because it will be a way for Tortilla to still be in my life, but I will worry about her so much less because as it stands now, because she's an outdoor cat, like I'm worried that like she gets into fights every once in a while. And as she gets older, she's going to start losing those fights. You know what I mean? Which is part of the reason why she can't come inside because she wants to scrap with Collie. And Collie doesn't have claws. We did not declaw her, but she came that way. We were excited about the fact that she came that way, but we would never do that to a cat, just so you guys know. But I'm getting a little excited. Anyway, why am I bringing that up? Oh, because in the future, I will actually be able to have bird feeders and shit because I haven't been able to do that. I love bird watching, but I haven't been able to like have bird feeders and things like that because I don't want to attract more birds to my yard because Tortilla will fucking kill them. Because she is a beast. But if this whole thing works out with my mom and Tortilla has a home and I'll still get to hang out with her and cuddle her every time I'm at my mom's house, if that works out, everybody cross your fingers. It's going to be this weekend is going to be the trial weekend. If that works out, I will get to maybe next year start like getting bird feeders and bird houses and binoculars and all that shit because I am obsessed with birds and I will get to hang out with birds on my porch. Not on my porch probably, but you know, I will get to hang out with birds more this year in 2023 if this whole situation works with Tortilla. Okay. Oh my God. See, I am getting really personal in this video. What else? Okay, so I did write down some sort of stats as far as like keeping up with my sort of shopping addiction stuff. So I do want to share some of that with you guys. In 2022, I bought 27 perfumes. Most of them, like probably 25 of them were like these little oil perfume bottles from Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. I bought 27 perfumes. I only kept 17. In 2022, I bought 23 decks for myself. I actually acquired more than that because I got a lot of gifts from people. But I actually bought for myself 23 decks this year, and I only kept 14. So and this is pretty normal for me. I keep around like a little over half of what I get. And I would like for in 2023 that the number of items that I keep, I would like to be higher. I would like that percentage because I kept 60% of the decks that I bought this year for myself. And I mean, some of that's just, you know, you don't know how you're going to work with it until you have it. So sometimes it's just not going to work out, and that happens. But I have found that when I buy things in person, I keep them much more often. When I can actually kind of get a feel for what something is in person, before I buy it, I will usually keep it. So a big goal for me in 2023 is going to be buying things in person more often, which is hard to do because I live in a small town. I'm not always going to be able to find what I want in person. A lot of the times I'm not going to be able to find what I want in person, but I'm going to make it more of a priority in 2023. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place because I just picked up my, I made a list of my dolls and other figurines. This is one that I got rid of. I have several pop figures at this point. Oh my God, I just got one from my friend Kira. I'm going to show it to you guys because it's here. No, it's not. Where is it? Oh no. Never mind. I forgot. I put it somewhere else. Okay, I'm not showing it to you. It's Poison Ivy. I now have 2 Poison Ivy pop figures, which is ridiculous, but I don't care. And I've been given so many dolls from my friend Julie, and it makes me so happy. So happy. Yeah, anyway. Just like looking over these. Okay. That was just a stupid aside, sorry. Oh my God, this. Okay, I'm not going to share this with you because it's just a little too personal. My grandpa, he likes to write. And he has this like silly little like poem that he wrote when I was born, and he gave it to me. He gave it to me this year for my birthday. He's given it to me several years on my birthday. It's just one of his favorite things to do. And it's every time it's like he's presenting it to me like as if I've never seen it, but I love it. Anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna, that's too personal. But, I had a big goal this year, a big money goal this year that so essentially like when we bought this house, we had to get an FHA loan, which is like a government loan thing because we didn't have enough for the down payment for the house. So we got like some government funding. This year, I made it a goal to pay off an amount. We had to pay off like a certain amount of our mortgage before we could get that extra insurance taken off. And we were getting really close. So we figured out how to pay the rest of it so that we could get that insurance taken off. We actually miscalculated a little bit, so it's not quite there yet, but we're going to hit it soon, just with our regular like payments. So I kind of achieved that goal. I did the best that I could with that goal, so I am proud of that. I did have to create like a pretty strict budget for myself this year because I cleaned a woman's house every week for many years, almost a decade. It was 8 years I'd cleaned her house, and I quit, or I gave her like a month's notice at the end of the year last year because I didn't want to clean people's houses anymore. And so this year I've had to be very focused on my finances this year because living without that $100 a week that I got for cleaning her house was a big blow in my already kind of small budget. So I had to like make a pretty strict budget for myself. I'm not going to show you that because, boring, but what else? Like everything in my Hope and Nietzsche that I wanted to share. Perfume. So, okay. I did kind of track how much I spent on different things in 2022. So I am going to share that with you just in the interest of like, if any of y'all are having shopping addictions, I have made a ton of progress this year, but I still have a problem. So I'm going to share some of that with you guys. So, okay. I didn't actually track. I essentially bought 23 tarot and oracle decks this year, and if you kind of consider like the average amount spent on each one of those decks being like $30, because there were a couple of tarot decks that I spent a chunk of money on, like this Moon Baby Tarot cost me, I think $65 maybe, all told, which was significantly more than I paid for the first edition since I got in on the Kickstarter with the first edition, but I'm happy with it, even though like just full disclosure, just to let you guys know how much I'm still struggling with that shopping addiction shit. You're not alone if you're still struggling. You're not alone, because when I bought this Moon Baby Tarot, and again, this is nothing against Brant at all. I'm actually really happy to have this deck. I'm happy that I have it. But at first I was struggling because I spent grocery money when I bought that deck. I really, 9 times out of 10, cannot afford to spend that much on a tarot deck. It's going to happen every once in a while. Like, I've accepted the fact that sometimes I'm going to buy a more expensive tarot deck, but I just need to find better ways to do it. I need to actually save up for it, which is something that I still don't know how to do. Even though I haven't, like, my biggest goal for 2022, which I don't think I've even mentioned this yet, but my biggest goal for 2022 was to not charge my credit card, and I haven't. That is my biggest achievement of the year. I don't think there's ever been an entire year in my adult life that I haven't charged my credit card. So that is something, like, I'm trying to tell myself how far I've come, even though I'm still struggling. You know, it's still a problem if I spend grocery money on a tarot deck. And that's still something that I am dealing with, but I've made progress. Okay, so I didn't actually track how much money I spent on decks, but, you know, like, I spent $65 on this. I did end up buying the second edition of Desert Illuminations too. That one I don't have yet. It was a pre-order. In general, I can't do pre-orders, but I decided to do it with that one, and I'm glad that I did, because she went mass market, which is exciting. I'm so glad that Desert Illuminations, which is a tarot deck that I've had for like almost 2 years now, and I really love it. I'm glad that it's going to be accessible to everyone via US Games, but I cannot stand the US Games cardstock, and I love the cardstock that she uses for her independently printed version of the deck. So I'm happy that I ordered it, but it did cost a lot of money. Okay, since I'm talking about the ones that I spent the most money on. So Moon Baby I spent like $65 on. Desert Illuminations second edition, including shipping, I think cost me like $75, which is insane. Yeah, I think there was an extenuating circumstance when I ordered it. I think I had just gotten a couple of different reading orders, so I actually had the money in my PayPal balance. So that was why that was a special occasion. Like, I'm likely never again gonna spend that much on a tarot deck. I also just bought a vintage Pink Ankh University Press deck that you're gonna see on my channel in probably the next couple of days. It was over $100. It was less than $150 and over $100. I don't know why I'm being cagey about the exact amount, because it's the most I've ever spent on a tarot deck. But it's from the 60s. There's a lot of history attached. It's in it's really good condition, I think. Like, I guess we'll see once it's actually in my hands. But, so those were the 3 decks that I spent a chunk of change on this year. Everything else was like mass market, or I was able to, like with Telesma, I was able to get it for half off. I was really savvy for the most part this year. Everything I bought, like, I didn't fund any Kickstarters this year. The only pre-order was that Desert Illuminations, and I'm happy I did it. I've learned that I can't really make absolute statements. Like, I can't really say, I'm never gonna buy an indie deck again. I'm never gonna do another Kickstarter. I'm never gonna do another pre-order, because that's not true. There will be exceptions. But as a rule, those things need to be true for me. I have spent on perfume this year, this is kind of, like, seeing the number kind of freaks me out, but $750 I spent this year on perfume. I don't know, sometimes I'm like, how did I do this? Because I make about $250 a week at my library job. And I do this because I live on the edge. Like, my still, even though I've made a lot of progress, I have a lot further to go. So I made like a particular online shopping budget for myself, a monthly budget for myself for 2022. And a couple of times during the year, I made that budget a little bit stricter. So I started with giving myself a little bit more leeway than I probably should have. But I needed to do that to get used to it, to get used to not charging my credit card. I gave myself a little too big of a budget to start with, and then I made it a little bit stricter, and I'm at the point now where it's time to make it even a little bit more strict. So I've decided, I think, like, I haven't nailed down all the details of what I want to do for my 2023, but I think 2023, I'm going to have an overall yearly budget. So I took the general numbers of like, I want to give myself enough that I can buy 2 of these perfumes per month, essentially. Because I mean, sometimes I will be buying 6 at a time, and other times it'll be 2 or 3 months before I buy anything. You know, that's just the way that it is. So I'm going to make myself an overall yearly budget for perfume that is essentially enough that I can buy 24 perfumes by the end of the year, which is, I bought 27 this year, so it will be a little bit less, but it will also be, you know, appropriately indulgent so that I'm not depriving myself. I'm trying to make like incremental changes, because for me, I cannot go cold turkey, no buy. It does not work for me. I immediately start feeling indignant and deprived, and it just makes me spend more money. I can't do it. So for me, I just need to keep like tightening the purse strings a little bit more and a little bit more, getting used to it, and a little bit more, getting used to it, so that eventually I'm actually truly living within my means. I wouldn't say that I am yet living within my means, because even though I haven't charged my credit card at all this year, I have spent grocery money on tarot decks this year, which I am lucky that when that happens, I have my Michael to fall back on. I can be like, I don't have money for groceries this week. And he can be like, okay, no problem. I'll pay for them. I am lucky. If I didn't have that, I would have to be so much more strict with myself about my finances. Anyway, I'm getting really personal with you guys. I'm starting to sweat. But this is what I do, and every time I put out a video where I'm getting super personal, it actually resonates with people, so I'm gonna continue doing it, because I'm a public servant, goddammit. And I'm gonna give myself also not only just like an overall yearly budget that is enough that I can buy 2 of these beautiful, indulgent, gorgeous, luxury perfumes per month, but also I'm giving myself enough to buy 1 or 2 tarot decks per month. And of course, again, like sometimes I'm going to be spending a little bit more on a deck, so that'd be more like 1 for that month. And again, it's not literally going to be monthly, because I tend to wax and wane. Like there was a chunk of time this year where I was spending a lot of money on perfume, but 0 money on decks. And then right now I've started buying decks again, and I'm not buying perfume at the moment, you know? So like, that's why I think switching to a yearly overall budget will maybe work better for me. I don't know. We're going to see. Anyway, I've been babbling so much. I think at this point, this video is like an hour and a half long. Holy shit. I don't know actually, because it's like in segments. So the time is showing 40 minutes for me, but I know it's way longer than that because there were a couple other segments I have to edit in. But thank you guys so much for watching. That's my 2022 summation. I mostly stuck to my online budget. I did not charge my credit card this year. I created Mixtress Oracle. I really deepened my connections with other human beings. That's a big part of it. And I value that friendship so much those friendships so much. And that has also helped me through. Like, if you're also going through shopping addiction stuff, please find other people that are going through the same thing and connect to them on a level. I mean, maybe for other people it's not as hard to do this, but it's really hard for me to connect to people in just online group / text type spaces. Find a way to actually connect to other people via like voice messages or video messages, ways where you can actually get a sense of who someone actually is. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to tell what a person is like via texting only. You know what I mean? Words only. Find people that are in the same boat as you. Find people that are further along in your journey than you are, like, that you can consult, you know. Find people that have been through it, you know. Yeah. Find people to help support you if you're going through the same thing. And know that I am here, even though I'm not really any kind of authority on shopping addiction stuff. I'm still struggling, but I've made a ton of progress in the last couple of years. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this goddamn long video. Please put a bird emoji below if you made it this far. Is there a bird emoji? There has to be. There has to be. Anyway, thank you so much. Bye.